Hello everyone, myself Arijit Basu. I have an experience of more than 2 decades in strategy and execution in the corporate world, and I'm also part of the committee member of Global Strategy and Execution Committee of DLC Kolkata chapter. I thank DLC for inviting me today to speak on a topic which is leading with certainty during uncertain times. Now, as we all know, we are going through a lot of uncertainties for past couple of years, and one of the key challenges for young professionals, leaders and the entrepreneurs today is to lead the business or the entrepreneurship or the organizations with any kind of specific direction. So whenever we go through any kind of such uncertain times, one of the fundamental to look at is to sticking to the basics. Now, let me tell all of you a story which I heard long time back. We all know about our famous detective Sherlock Holmes and his assistant Mr. Watson. Now, in one of the stories, Mr. Sherlock Holmes and Mr. Watson, they went for a trekking trip. And during the trekking, they went to the forest by the river. They were all tired. So they decided that they should go for a camping and, spend the night by the river, and then next day they will start trekking again. So the tent was put. Mr. Sherlock Holmes and Mr. Watson went inside the tent. They had their dinner and they were early to their bed to take rest after a long day of work. After some time, Sherlock Holmes asks Watson, "Watson, what do you think would be the agricultural harvest this year?" Watson was little surprised, little puzzled, but he thought that this is a chance for me to explain with logic, and he started thinking, and then he started saying, looking at the clear sky, the bright star and all the halo all around, it looks like this year the harvesting should be very, very good. And Sherlock Holmes replies back to Watson, "Oh, that's great. You have done a great analysis, but you are missing the basic. Somebody has stolen our tent." Now, this is what happens in business as well. When we are in uncertain times, it becomes more as we start to think more complex. And as we think more complex, we sometimes forget that we are inside the tent and we are able to see the stars. That means somebody has taken our tent. So, with this story, what we need to understand that when it comes to uncertainty, for all of us, for the leaders, it is very important to also realize that there are many potential opportunities which comes out of such uncertain times. Now, opportunities are in uncertain times have a unique phase which is called a window of opportunity. So these opportunities we generate during uncertain times are not going to be there if it is procrastinated for a long time or not anticipated for a long time. Hence, the agility is the key during uncertain times. You must understand, all of us must understand one thing, that not taking an action in time and as required is actually equal to inaction. So remember, when it comes to uncertain times and you have to lead through that, you must identify your opportunities and you must be agile to capitalize on them. But while you are doing that, yes, it will give you the opportunities, your agility, your effective implementation of those opportunities will give you much more in terms of your growth. But that growth must also be aligned with your purpose. Without the purpose, you will lose track of the sustainable part of your growth. And when I say sustainable growth, always remember it is always at the core your people. So people are or should be at the core of your strategy, and this is something where a lot of times we make the mistake of using our resources either too thin or too much. Now, I can again share with you one small story which is something like this, that during the times which we have just crossed during the pandemic, a lot of companies, they were forced to lay off a lot of people. One such incident came to me through one of my good friends in the industry who was actually going through a lot of dilemma handling this situation during the first wave of pandemic, and the board of the organization gave him an instruction that to reduce cost and ensure that the organization remains profitable. So one of the key strategies, one of the key thinking the leader had is to ensure that the increment and the incentive of his people will not be done for that year. This is something where he had the consent and the approval of his senior management as well. But somewhere he was not feeling comfortable executing this plan or strategy, because somewhere as a leader he was feeling that this may not give him the sustainability which he might be losing out. And that's when he approached me and started speaking his mind out. What I suggested to him was, instead of looking at it from cost cutting, why can't he look at it as a cost optimization? He was obviously looking at me, searching for that answer, which is what I suggested to him. Instead of not giving any increment to anyone, instead of not giving any incentive to anyone, why can't he do a reverse? Why can't he make sure that the front line and the junior people in the organization gets a percentage of what they would have got, while the top management takes actually a cut, thereby not ensuring the cost going up, but at the same time keeping the motivation and the energy in the organization going. He thought for some time, he went back, and later I got a message from him that this is exactly what he did. And after a year, when we again met up, his feedback was that this was an excellent strategy, because the people also realized that during the tough times, the organization stood, the leader stood behind the people, and that reflected in much more energy and much more motivation and much more output for the organization. So what I am trying to say is, during uncertain times, while we build, we must build with a purpose. And at every purpose, the core of that should be based on our people. Finally, we have already entered the age of convenience. It is no more that we give a good product or we give a good service to our customers. Customers today are seeking not just products and services, that's given. What they are looking for is convenience. And when it comes to convenience, it is something where we as leaders need to understand the game of pleasure in pain. Now, what does that mean? If we want to get the pleasure of providing the convenience and getting the loyalty or getting the buying from our customers, we must understand their pain points. I give you a simple example. There are many traditional businesses, there are many traditional goods and services business where many customers had this concept of traveling to a nearby mandi or nearby town or nearby market or wholesaler and picking up the products which they want or which they need and going back to their respective places. This is something which is imbibed in many business value chain and supply chain since ages. But with the fuel cost increase, many customers have started to feel the pinch, and that pain point has also been addressed when these set of a part of these kind of business owners or companies, they started to innovate. Instead of making the customers to come to them, they started to reach out to their places. Now, this is just an example of how you can understand a pain point and create pleasure out of it. So, as I mentioned, that convenience is the key, but convenience to be provided, you need to understand customer pain point. It's not always easy, but at the same time, there are opportunities. If it is being understood, if it is being tapped, then there can be excellent innovative solutions provided to our customers, and that can lead to sustainable, profitable growth. So finally, if I have to summarize, if you would like to lead during uncertain times, stick to basics. Agility is the key, but remember, windows of opportunities will be short. So you must show that agility can lead you to ensure capitalization of those opportunities. Next important thing is build the business with purpose, and at the purpose core should be people. Finally, the age of convenience is here, but to capitalize, to make use of effective use of that, you need to understand the pleasure in the pain game. Understand customers' pain points, provide solution, you will get a lot of pleasure. Thank you very much. I hope this speech helps you to take your organizations or businesses forward. Thank you all. And I also like to thank DLC for giving me this opportunity to have this interaction with all of you. Thanks a lot.